Good morning, everyone. In the previous session of Management of Financial Services, I was explaining about capital structure decisions. What are the important aspects? What are the principles of capital structure decision? And what are the various factors which has a major influence over the decision regarding capital structure? Means what should be the debt equity ratio, whether they want to even have some kind of debt financing. So those factors influence capital structure decision. In this session, I am going to start a new topic, new issue market. So first of all, in this session, I am going to explain what is new issue market, and then I will explain in details the three important functions of the new issue market. So let's begin the session. So first of all, in one of my previous session, I explained about capital markets. Now in the capital market, there is one type of market which is called industrial market, and that is divided into two types of market. So there are two markets which come under industrial market. One is the new issue market and the second one is the stock exchange. Okay. So the new issue market is the market where the securities, the instruments are issued for the very first time. Now, these instruments are not available previously for subscription for general public or for any other institutions or any other institute who are interested in the subscription of such security. So basically, the new issue market deals with all the new securities which are issued for the first time, which were never issued previously. So once these instruments, once these securities are issued in the new issue market, when again the security are going to be sold or purchased, this kind of repurchase and selling of the security will take place in the stock exchange. So first of all, in the new issue market, the issues are the instruments and securities are issued for the first time. Clear? So who all can actually participate, who all can actually invest in such securities? Anybody can, general public can invest in such securities, and different types of financial institutions and other institutions who have a surplus amount of fund with them, they can also invest and purchase such securities. Okay. So whenever an organization, whether a new one or an existing one, needs a certain amount of finance, they would issue new securities, and those new securities will be issued in the new issue market. So it basically deals with raising fresh capital by the companies, either for cash or for consideration other than cash. So instead of getting cash, they will get some other assets. That depends upon the issuer and the investor, the organization which issues securities, and the organization and institutions who are investing in such securities. So if they want to deal if they want to have a deal not getting involved with cash, they can deal with some other form of assets also. Okay. So different types of institutions or organization dealing, it includes all kinds of organization, companies and institutions who are dealing in fresh claims. Now fresh claims here here it means issue of security for the first time. And what kind of securities can be issued? Equity shares can be issued, debentures can be issued, even preference shares can also be issued. So these are the different kinds of securities which will be issued for the first time. So it also plays a very important role because it brings together the investors and the issuers. Investors are those organization or general public who have certain amount of fund available with them. They are the savers who save money for who save money, and they search for different types of investment perspectives in which they can invest and get something in return, which can increase their income. So they are the savers. The entrepreneurs, the organization, the companies, these are the issuers of the securities who actually need finance. So basically it brings together the organization and institutions who need finance and the savers who have funds available with them, and they are searching for suitable type of investment. Clear? So it basically brings them together. So is and any organization can issue these kind of security. Like I said, new companies can issue, and also the existing companies. New companies would definitely need, if they need a larger amount of money, they need to go for issuing of new securities in the new issue market. And the existing companies who want to either expand, diversify, modernize their organization, their company, and these type of activities actually involve a large amount of money, large amount of fund. So some of the organization prefer to issue new securities to expand, diversify, or to modernize their existing organization. So this is all about the basic meaning of new issue market. Who are the savers, who are the issuers, and how does they interact with each other, how new issue market brings closer the savers and the issuers. Okay, and I have also mentioned what is the basic reason behind issuing new securities. Okay, now I will explain the three important functions of the new issue market. So first of all, it facilitates transfer of resource from the savers and the savers to the issuers or the users. Savers are those people who have funds available with them, and issuers are those organizations, those companies who require funds for certain activities. Clear? Like I said, either expansion of the organization or even starting a new organization. Clear? So it brings together the issuers and the savers. So like I said, anybody can invest in such kind of securities. For example, as an investor, as an individual, I have certain amount of fund available with me, and I would like to, I'm searching for different types of investment opportunities where I can get some kind of income, extra income. So as a person, I can invest in equity shares. Clear? So as an institution, also different types of institutions, commercial banks, other financial institutions, they can also invest in such securities if they have surplus fund. So as a person, when I have invested in such kind of new security, new issues, I can sell those securities again. But those selling of securities will take place in the stock exchange. So basically, in the new issue market, the securities are issued for the first time, and these are purchased by general public or institutions. And when this general public and institution would like to sell their securities, this kind of selling will take place in stock exchange. Okay, so that's why new issue market is considered to be the primary market, and stock exchange is considered to be the secondary market. Okay, now here we can say that the new issue market can be classified as in two categories. It can be classified into two categories. The first one, market where firms go to the public for the first time through initial public offering. So this is the market where firms issue for the very first time. Okay, for very first time means the organization who are beginning their operations. For example, a new company has wants to start a business, they want to set up a factory. So this is a new company who is going for initial public offering. So whenever a organization which is created initially and want to issue some kind of securities, that will come under initial public offering. So new firms issuing securities for the very first time, that is IPO. And the second one is market where firms which are already trading, who are already in the business, who are existing organization, and they want to raise some additional capital, and that kind of issue is called seasoned equity offering. Means it is, they are issuing securities for the first time, but the organization is working, is the organization is still in the market from many years. For example, there is a company called ABC Limited, which is operating since 2010. So it is a 10-year-old organization, company, 10-year-old company, and it wants to expand its business. So they have decided to issue some new securities like equity share. They want to issue some new set of equity share, and that kind of issue will come under seasoned equity offering. Understood? And the initial one, the initial public offering, a new company is starting its businesses in 2020 and they are going to make an offering that is called initial public offering. So new issue market can also be classified into two categories while considering the organization's means how long the organization is existing or whether it is a new one or an old one. Okay. Now, let us discuss now, let me explain the three major functions of the new issue market. The three major functions of new issue market are origination, underwriting, and distribution. So the first function is origination. Origination basically means, see, whenever an organization wants to issue new issue because it needs some kind of risk, sorry, it involves risk and it is risky in nature and they need to have some kind of investigation before issuing such large amount of securities, because if the securities are not subscribed, the organization is going to face many problems. The market price of the existing share will definitely go down and many other problems will be faced by the company. So origination refers to the work of investigation, analysis, processing of new project proposal. Means when an organization decides they want to go through the IPO, they want to issue an IPO or SEO, so they need to have proper investigation analysis regarding the what type of security they are interested in issuing, what is the magnitude of such kind of issue, whether the market is appropriate for such kind of issue or not, whether the issue is going to be successful or it will be a failure. So these kind of investment actually this kind of analysis is done by the new issue market. So that is the first function, the origination function. They go through, they investigate all those things to find out proper result for the new proposal, whether this new proposal is going to be successful or not, or whether it has some kind of problems, the organization needs to make some kind of changes. So these things will be revealed in the origination function. So this investigation actually starts when the securities actually floated in the market before. So before the flotation of the security in the market, this investigation takes place, and when everything becomes fine, when everything is okay with the issue, when the investigation and analysis proves to be very positive regarding the new project, after that only these securities will be floated in the market. So there are two main aspects in this function. The first one is a careful study of the technical, economic, and financial viability to ensure soundness of the project. See, an organization has decided to issue around new equity shares of worth rupees 10 crore. Now, whether the organization is actually capable of doing that, whether the economic and financial condition of the organization is actually suitable for such kind of issue, whether they are going to manage such kind of issue, whether the public, the investors are actually interested in such kind of issue. So it needs to be carefully analyzed whether even if the organization is capable or not. See, organization can plan anything depending upon the requirement, but they must be capable of managing and making it successful. And if it is not technically possible for the organization to go for such kind of offerings, then the project may be rejected. So the soundness, the effectiveness, whether the project is going to be successful or not, that needs to be properly analyzed. And after that only they will be given permission for issue of new securities, okay, by the new issue market. Here, the next one is advisory service, which improves the quality of capital issue and ensures its success. So first one is an analysis where the new issue market is going to conduct its first function, that is analysis of new types of issue, when new types of issue of an organization, of a company. That is the first one. And the second one is just an advisory function where they are going to give advice regarding the quality of capital issue so that it can ensure the success of the new issue. So this is an advisory service. Whether to follow or not, that depends upon the corporates or the organization. Okay. So these are the advisory services of the origination function. The first one is type of issue. What type of securities the company is would like to invest? Sorry, what type of security the company is planning to uh, launch in the market, whether it is equity share, debenture, or preference share. So they are going to give an advice which kind of security would be suitable for a company in the present scenario. So that kind of advice is provided to them. Second one is magnitude. What is the size of the issue? Are they issuing a, whether the size of issue is very huge or it is very small? So they are going to analyze that, and they are going to give advice that in this particular time it is better to go for this size of a particular size of issue. So the magnitude of issue, regarding the magnitude of issue of the securities, uh, the sorry they advise regarding the size of the security, whether they need to modify their size, whether they need to increase or decrease. Now these kind of advices are basically based on the investigation they have conducted. Okay. The next one, time of floating an issue, means the time at which these securities are going to be issued in the market. So market situation is very essential for the success of such kind of issue. If the investors are not having such kind of money, they don't have savings, then it is not a right time to issue such kind of security. Tax rules also play a major role from investors. If they are getting some kind of tax benefit, they would go for such kind of investments. So there are many things that are going on in the market, different kinds of rules and regulations. So the time of issue of such security is very important. So regarding the time of such issue, advices are also provided to the organizations. Okay. The next one, pricing. Whether the share or debenture, whether they are issued at par, premium, or discount. Advice regarding these aspects are also provided to the organizations. The next one, the methods of issue. There are various methods of issue, like private placement, offer for sale. These are the methods which I am going to discuss in the later in the session, means in my future sessions, because this is a separate topic. There are 4 different types of methods, and each and every method has sets rules and regulations, SEBI guidelines, and their proper procedure. So this portion I am going to explain in detail in my future session. So basically, the advisory unit also advises regarding what method would be suitable for a particular organization considering the present scenario. That kind of advice is also provided to the organizations. Okay. The next one, techniques of selling securities. This basically means that whether an organization is going for underwriting, or they want to directly issue to the general public, or they want to issue to certain specific organization or institutions. So the advice is also provided regarding this aspect. So this is the advisory function of the new issue market, and this function is actually executed by merchant bankers and other commercial banks. So they go through, they analyze everything, and they provide advice to the organization regarding these various aspects. Okay. The next point is underwriting. The next function of the new issue market is underwriting. Underwriter. So underwriter is actually an agreement where whereby the underwriting promises to subscribe. So underwriting basically means it is an agreement, and there is an underwriter who promises to subscribe to a specific number of shares or debentures, or for a specific amount of stock. So whenever a new issue takes place, it can go through an underwriter. Uh, for example, a company like ABC company wants to issue some kind of equity shares, but the public, they don't want to issue directly to the public, because there is high level of risk involved. There are chances that public won't subscribe to such kind of issue. There comes the underwriter. Now what underwriter does, he promises to purchase some amount of shares for particular amount of price. For example, they are issuing 5,000 shares. So the underwriter can promise to purchase all the 5,000 shares, or he can purchase only some percentage of the 5,000 shares. And then it becomes the responsibility of the underwriter to sell it to the general public. So the entire responsibility of selling the shares to the general public is taken by the underwriter. Now, what if the general public does not subscribe? The rest of the remaining shares would be taken by the underwriter only. For example, out of 5,000 shares, the underwriter promises to purchase 4,000 shares. Now it becomes the responsibility of the underwriter to sell those 4,000 shares to public or any other institutions. Clear? Now, if out of 4,000 shares, the underwriter was only able to sell 3,500 shares. So what about the remaining 4,000? Sorry, remaining 500? The remaining 500 shares will be kept by the underwriter and the payment will be given by the underwriter to the company. So that is the actual function of underwriting. Clear? Now, if the issue is fully subscribed, for example, if the for example, like I said, 4,000, the total number of shares, that is 4,000, is completely subscribed by the general public. So there is no liability in that case to the underwriter. The underwriter promised to sell 4,000 shares and all the 4,000 shares were purchased by the public. So there is no liability. But if some part of the shares are remained unsold, the underwriter will buy the shares like I explained. So this also happens in case of debenture. So if the organization does not have the confidence that the public, the general public, they are interested in their shares or debenture, or they do not want to get involved in the process of selling it to the underwriter, sorry, a process of selling shares and debentures to the general public, they can directly give it, sell it to the underwriter. So all the selling, the duties, the responsibilities regarding selling will be given to the underwriter. So automatically all their new securities will be sold initially and the responsibility will be taken by the underwriter. So this is also one of the important function of the new issue market. Now there are also three types of methods of underwriting. The first one is standing behind the issue. So standing behind the issue means basically the underwriter will purchase a certain amount of shares and they will resell it to the general public. And if some amount of shares are not purchased by the general public, they will keep those amount of shares with themselves. So the underwriter will not subscribe to the entire number of shares. They are going to resell those shares to the public. And if some of the shares are not purchased by the public, they are going to keep the remaining part of the share which are not purchased by the public. The next one is outright purchase, means they will first of all purchase all the shares of the company, and then it depends upon them whether they want to resell to the general public or they want to keep it with themselves. So these two methods are similar to each other, but at the same time they have certain kind of difference, because in outright purchase it depends upon the underwriter whether they want to sell it to the general public or they want to keep it, because they have already paid for those shares which they have purchased. The next one is consortium method. Now, in this method, what happens? A syndicate is created. Syndicate means a head of the syndicate will take place, because whenever underwriting takes place, the risk is very high and the risk is taken by the single underwriter. So it is better to create a syndicate where different types of banks and different types of financial institution can become part. They are first of all going to analyze the level of risk involved in such kind of purchase of shares or debentures, and then they will form a syndicate. There will be a head of the syndicate, so that the risk of the underwriter will be spread between the within the syndicate. So each and every member of the syndicate will have certain number of part of the new issue, and the risk will be divided among them. Clear? So instead single underwriter purchasing all the shares, a group of underwriters creating a syndicate will purchase that many number of shares, and the risk and the shares will be distributed among the underwriters. Okay. The third and the last function of the uh, of the sorry, the last function of the new issue market is called distribution. Now distribution is the function of sale of securities to the ultimate investors. Ultimate investors are public institutions. Now, how these ultimate investors can purchase through brokers or agent. For example, if an individual wants to purchase a share, first of all they need to create a demat account, and then they can go for purchase of shares. So for this purpose, brokers and agents are appointed. Now these brokers and agents, they maintain a regular and direct contact with the ultimate investors. So many years back, all the dealings used to be done by the brokers and agents, and they used to get some kind of commission. But it now, as an individual, you can also trade, purchase shares and debentures, but you need to create you need to create demat account, and it is better to go through an agency, stockbroking agency. So those brokers and agents can also give you advice, and they can create a direct contact with the ultimate investors, with the ultimate uh, issuers. So distribution can be done through brokers and agents, but nowadays general public gets information on a regular basis regarding IPO and all those things, so they can invest directly also. Clear? So these are the three important functions of the new issue market. In the next session, first of all, I am going to explain the merits and demerits of new issue market, and then I am going to explain the methods of the issue. What are the various methods through which your new securities can be issued in the primary market, and then what are the rules, regulations, guidelines are created for different types of methods. Okay, so that's it for today. We will meet in the next session. Thank you.